And I'd like to welcome everybody to our second Season of Mission, Season of Hope presentation. And tonight's speaker will be Jim Austin from Holston Presbytery Camp. And before I begin that, I would like to remind you that next Wednesday at 6:30 again, we will have Jimmy Shea from Congo Hope will be our third speaker. And this recording will be posted on YouTube, hopefully this evening after everything is over. And then anybody you know would like to see this presentation will have that opportunity. And we've had a lot of people take advantage of last week's recording. So thank you again. I'm going to ask Colin to do the official introduction of Jim. So Colin, you're on.
All right. Well, it is a real pleasure to be able to welcome Jim to this virtual mission meeting. Jim is the director up at Holston Presbytery Camp, as he will tell you, your Holston Presbytery Camp. He has been there as long as I've been here and a little longer. He has navigated us very well through the last few years, and especially the year of 2020, keeping camp quite alive and quite fun still. Jim is an elder out of Elizabethton, but is living up on the mountain for us. And so I have a great affinity working with Jim. I think he is a wonderful leader for the camp. And I am looking forward to continuing our relationship with him. And I know the one thing I am always pleased about, especially, is Jim is full of candor, but also full of hope. And so he'll tell you what it is, but he has a good vision and dream for the way things can be. And so, Jim, take it away.
Okay, and as Jim is getting started, to remind everybody, please mute yourselves until it's time for questions, and then you're welcome to ask questions. And you may request an option to ask a question in the chat box, unless you do not know how to do that. And if you don't, just wave your hand and I'll make sure to get you in line. So Jim, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Colin. It's nice to see everybody here tonight. Thank you for showing up and for your interest in the camp. I am very grateful for Susan and Karen and Colin for setting these things up for me and for the congregation. You know, Waverly Road has, I was looking back through some records, and your congregation has supported the camp so graciously in the past for so many years. And we're so very, very, very grateful for that. I believe in this ministry wholeheartedly, and as long as I'm involved, I will see to it that this ministry continues for the benefit of your congregation as well as other churches and other youth. So thank you for that. I really appreciate Colin. I think he's a wonderful minister. I remember the first time I heard him speak at a Presbytery meeting, and he gave a message there and basically just stood up and spoke. And it was so refreshing to hear how off the cuff he can speak and yet so meaningfully so. And he's been very good to have on the camp board. He is a camp person from way back, and I bet you know that he met his wife there at Camp Buck. And unfortunately, Camp Buck is no longer a working camp, a Presbytery camp, and that's not what we want to see happen with Holston Presbytery Camp. But again, and Susan has also added herself to our board of directors. And we have just let me say now, we have a tremendous board of directors. They're engaged, they're knowledgeable, they're interested. They question me and they challenge me, and hopefully I challenge them. So anyway, thanks for all of that. We're very blessed, and I feel very, very blessed and privileged to be a part of this ministry. So there is a video, I believe, that we want to show, and unfortunately, it was taken last year or last summer during our summer session, summer camp. And we did do summer camp last year. We didn't think we would. Some PPP money was made available, and we decided, let's try day camp. And we did a couple of weeks of day camp, and we had some counselors on board. We had some counselors waiting in the wings, and we had some pretty good policies in place, health policies in place. So we said, let's go ahead and do 4 weeks of overnight camp. And we did that, and we did, I believe we did 10 weeks, maybe it was more than that, 10 or 11 weeks of day camp. So the show must go on, I guess you might say. So we did that, and this video was taken then. And unfortunately, because we were masked, we had a lot of different rules that we put in place. We had to be outdoors. I bet we were outdoors 99% of the time. Children wore masks, and we tried to keep them separate to some degree, a lot of different rules, but we didn't have any problems with an outbreak or anybody that came with any sort of COVID. So that was good. Just to say that you have to listen kind of carefully to hear the words. I'm sorry it's not a little more clear, but because the kids are wearing masks, it's a little bit muffled like that. So go ahead and play the video, and I think you'll get a little taste of what camp is like.
And let me point out that they will be talking about their favorite activities, and then you'll see their activities. So if you didn't understand what they said, you'll figure it out. Karen's going to run the video for us.
Let's hope.
Hi, my name's Karen. I'm an App State student, and this is my second year as Holston's photographer and videographer. I've created this video to introduce you to some of our beloved campers and give you an idea of what types of activities and events you could expect to see in a week at camp. I hope you enjoy.
My name is Juliet, and I like Bible study.
And he realized that God had given him his sight, and so he decided to commit his life to follow.
My name's Sophia, and my favorite thing at camp is making new friends.
What do we want? When do we want it?
Hi, my name's Isabel, and my favorite part of the week is ziplining. Hi, my name is Corey. My favorite activity is archery and being with my friends. My name's Atticus, and I like canoeing.
Hi, my name is Griffin, and my favorite activity this week has been shelter building.
Hi, my name is Lucas, and my favorite activity this week has been biking.
Hi, my name's Bella, and my favorite activity at camp is rock climbing. Hi, my name is Eliza, and my favorite activity at camp is slip and slide. Hi, my name is Ashton, and my favorite part of the week was swimming at Lake Lyons.
Hi, my name is Ellie Rose, and my favorite activity is Crazy Dance Night.
Personally, some of my favorite activities happen in the later hours of the evening. At Rustic Camp, dinner is made over the fire, which I find to be a lovely bonding experience. Sunsets at the Rock of Ages are always a beautiful sight. And typically we wrap up our nights with songs and storytelling around the campfire. We hope you'll join us here at Holston so you too can experience all that camp has to offer. Bye for now, see you soon. Hi, my name's Karen. I'm an App State
Yours, yeah, your support helps make that happen. Yeah, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then there's probably a lot to say right there in those pictures. Why don't we? Are there any questions right now about any of the things that kind of happened at camp that you saw?
I just have one question, Jim. This is Howard Carmen. How many
Hi.
campers do you remember? You may not have your notes in front of you, but roughly how many campers did we host last year?
Good question, Howard. Thank you for that. We did, I'm thinking, now the majority of our campers last year were at day camp.
Right.
But and we did 4 weeks of overnight camp. I want to say the total enrollment was somewhere around I'm saying 300.
Wow.
So it's not bad. I should get back to you on that.
No need. I just wondered
if
if it was 50 or multiple hundreds, and the fact that we had multiple hundreds in the pandemic year. Congratulations. That's fabulous.
Well, thanks. Thank you. I'm really pleased that we were able to pull that off as successfully as we did. It was a lot of work for Crosby Palmer, who is our program director, a very talented young person with just out of Vanderbilt Divinity School, a lifelong Presbyterian, and just a real asset, really bright girl who she can write. She's been writing grants for us. She does a lot of our social media. If you've been watching Facebook or Instagram or seen any of our things, seen any of our emails, and so she's just a great resource as far as the ministry and as far as helping us organize some of our programs. So that's a big part of what we're doing just recently. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any issues with the coronavirus?
We did not. Well, I shouldn't say that. There was one family that who is a local family, and the parent had tested positive, so they immediately brought their kids out of a day camp. And other than that, we had no issues whatsoever. So we never had any infection in the camp. And we did some things like we required overnight campers to be tested before they came to camp. We didn't do that with day campers. We didn't feel like we could, but they had to commit to remaining sequestered or quarantined in a sense And at that time, it was easy. People were pretty observant of staying out of the fray. So, so that worked pretty well, worked real well for us. There's only so much distance you can put between kids at camp, but we just kept them outside and kept them masked up as best we could. Lunches were served outside, breakfasts and dinners were outside. All the play was altered so that there wasn't a lot of close contact. So it worked real well.
This is Dave Petke. What about the sleeping for the overnights? Did you still do those in the cabins?
We did. We took thanks for that question, David. We went out, all the overnight camps were moved into our rustic area, I think Gilmer Woods. So if you know the camp, those are our open air, screened in facilities. And we limited, they sleep 8. We limited it to 4 per cabin. And they slept with their heads away from each other. So they didn't sleep masked, but with that, we felt like with that air circulation in those cabins, and it can be pretty brisk, as you can guess. And then just keeping heads as distant, as far away from each other as we could, it worked out well. So we used, one nice thing was we used every campsite last year, which was the first time since I've been there. I'm on my 7th year there, that we've actually used every campsite. So that was kind of cool. Even Fox Den. Any other questions that you? Okay. Well, I thought it would be kind of interesting just to talk about what happens at camp, what I do, and if you have any questions, just throw up your hand. I'll be happy to try and answer, clarify any issues you might find. But for instance, it seems like there's always something breaking at camp. So I mean, if it's a dining room, it's a restaurant, it's a motel, it's a office, it's infrastructure. We have vehicles. So today was fixing a monitor heater. We still have one facility that burns an oil monitor heater. So the other day it was the convection oven in the kitchen. You might know Peggy Crump, by the way, whose mother passed away. Peggy's been with us 34 years now. And so we're like family. She's originally from Charlotte. So she took some time off, of course, to be with her family. And wouldn't you know it, we had a group come in that week. This was just last weekend. And so somebody has to cook. And that was me. So I've gotten pretty good at cooking. I think there were 30 people. Biscuits, eggs, sausage one morning, and French toast, bacon, and strawberry compote the other morning. They opted out of dinner, so we didn't have to cook that. But we are prepared to to do what we have to do to keep things rolling. I'm very pleased that we have Mitchell Klein as a bookkeeper. He's been there about, I think he's going on his 3rd year, and he's done a real fine job with us in keeping our books, keeping me schooled on how finances work, and doesn't let me spend too much money, and just real good about watching our books for us and raising questions about our spending and different things. Mitchell also comes out of a hospitality background. His dad had a restaurant for many years, and he was most recently employed at the Mast Farm Inn, which is in Valley Cruces. It's near the Mast store. So he has that kind of background in the hospitality business. And so he is just a tenacious doer. he's a swallow the frog kind of guy. I don't know if you're familiar with that term or not, but anything that I might put off to do in my routine, he's always ready to take that on. So that kind of guy, but he can cook, he can clean, he can keep books. He takes all the reservations on the phone for us, and he's been just an excellent addition to our staff, as well as Crosby and Peggy. And of course, we have Richard Hamby, who is been there about 4 or 5 years now, I guess, maybe 5 years. And we just had some trees removed recently that were, I don't know if you know about the circumstances up in the mountains now, is that there's a bug that's eating the beech trees. So Beech Mountain, of course, is covered with beech trees, and there's a bug plus a bit of a disease of some kind that in the combination, they're killing trees. And these happen to be hanging kind of close to our cabins, our main cabins. So we had them removed. So Richard has been probably the past 3 or 4 days sawing big logs, splitting those, and distributing those to all our campsites in any place where we can put a campfire in. So I was telling you a little bit about the daily routine. Mitchell's there. We go over reservations. Of course, we also manage the Meadows Cabin, which is on Parallel Road in an area that used to be known as the Upper Meadows. So that's handled through VRBO, but we approve that, and we schedule the cleaning. Well, no, we don't schedule the cleaning anymore, but we schedule maintenance on that. And of course, any scheduling of cleaning facilities, deciding what meals need to be cooked and when, and different aspects like that. We have Crosby has been hosting for us. That means that she comes in and they eat on Friday evening, when groups generally come in, and greets them and meets them in the dinner, and she meets them, takes them to their facility, wherever they're staying, lets them know that she's available if they have any questions. And then she's there at meals, and then checks them out over the weekend, which is great. So I don't generally have to be there on the weekends. So we also, let's see, Tuesday was a luncheon for the Kiwanis group. We had about 28 Kiwanians come in and eat with us. We've been trying to extend, move into the community a little bit more. I believe that a lot of folks in the Avery County just didn't even know we were there for a long time, or that we were somehow, I don't know, just kind of not open to just anybody, but we are. So the Kiwanians have been good to have lunches with us, and even dinners and Christmas dinners. And so we try and send some goodwill that way, and try and promote the camp through those folks as well. We have a track hoe that had to have a new solenoid put in. So Richard arranged for a guy from Johnson City, from the Case heavy equipment place, to come up and fix that. But it's I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's something going on all the time there. If it's not pushing snow out of the way, it's fixing leaks in bathrooms, or one thing and another. It's a challenging job. It's an exciting job. I love it just because there's always something new to do. There's, it just has this appeal in that it doesn't get old. Exactly. So that's wonderful. Right now we're concentrating on summer camp. So there's a lot of promotion material that has to go out, press releases that have to be written. I've got to get t-shirts ready for the kids to wear. We didn't do that last year. We sell a little bit of apparel. So how do you advertise the camp? How do you promote and market the camp? That's a big part of what we do. Right now we're looking at ACA accreditation. At one time, that's the American Camp Association. At one time we had that accreditation. It was allowed to lapse before I got there, but we feel like that's an important place for us to be because they just set up so many high standards for camps right now. I'm just going to kind of ramble from one thing to the others because, but please stop me if you get have a question or anything. I did mention Camp Buck. And Camp Buck, if you know, if Colin were here, he could tell you a little bit about it. It was a Presbyterian camp in South Carolina. And from what I know of it, it was a beautiful camp. Its Presbytery, unfortunately, couldn't afford to keep it. And it just, it floundered. And by the time it was, I guess at some point it just became, they just had to sell it. So it was sold off of the property. And you may be interested to know that the camp board is looking to create a new relationship with the camp and the Presbytery. This is not to say that the camp is moving away from the Presbytery. It wants to maintain a relationship with the Presbytery that's meaningful and that it remains a ministry of the Presbytery. But the camp feels like that certain restrictions have been applied to the camp. For instance, how the Presbytery nominates board members. So we don't have a whole lot of say in that ourselves. The Presbytery does that. That usually comes through a committee. More and more, we feel like they're, and actually several of those committee members are required to be ministers, which is a good thing and sometimes not so good thing. But we feel like we need to grow that circle a little bit of who has a bit of influence in the camp as directors. There's also a restriction on how the camp fundraises, and it requires permission to go to churches to actually ask for some support that way for money. And we find that that's been a little bit restrictive. So there's been a push, and you've probably seen it, that the camp is trying to suggest that we be in a covenant relationship with the Presbytery and which would allow us a little more autonomy in order to do some extra fundraising and to create a board that has that remains interested and dedicated to the camp. I think that's a pretty big move these days right now, and you'll definitely be hearing more about that. But let me assure you that that's not, none of this has been taken lightly, and it's been kind of thought of for several years, and it does not mean that we're no longer associated. We will remain associated with the Holston Presbytery. We will remain Holston Presbytery Camp and Retreat Center. So nothing changes there. It really just allows us a little more autonomy. And we are a 501c3 incorporation. We were from the very get-go of the camp back in 1955. I believe that the intentions of those folks that created the camp were to make it a autonomous entity, and so we've gone in that direction. You know, back in that 55, it was Holston, the Presbytery was cut into a little different. It was there were several different presbyteries that were involved in creating the camp, and several different churches even beyond the denomination. So there was a northern branch, a southern branch of the Presbytery, Presbyterian Church involved, and it's kind of an interesting history. Dudley Gilmer has written about in a book. I've sent one to Susan. I hope you got it. But anyway, are you hearing me okay?
We are, and we've got a
Yeah.
question for you. Are you ready for a
Okay,
question?
go for it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Karen? You're on mute.
I can go first, so that's fine. Here's the question that I had, and you've alluded to this a little bit. Do you have a mission statement, or is that something that's maybe a little bit, as you're changing, is that something that's also changing as well? And I'm interested maybe specifically in how big a portion of who the camp is connected with the church camp program, and what are the other key programs that might be growing even that are going on that might be ministry related in a different way perhaps?
Good question. Thank you. The mission statement is on our website, and it, well, I should be able to just rattle that off, shouldn't I? It's that we welcome all people to our outdoor Christian facility for spiritual nourishment. I don't know, something similar to that. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that up. And I think that there could be some that mission could evolve somewhat. For instance, we have we feel like we have the opportunity to open our doors to the local community for a preschool program. Avery County is a rather poor county in some ways. The disparity between the haves and the have-nots is pretty severe in some ways. And an affordable affordable daycare is a valuable thing. We are partnering. We're trying to partner with. We are partnering with Banner Elk Presbyterian Church. They do a morning preschool for 4 hours, and we would like to do an afternoon preschool for 4 hours, as well as take on after school children at the local elementary school. So we've been granted some money to add bathrooms to the Director's Hall facility, which you might know as the Pavilion by the Lake. It's been it's now a full-blown building, but so that I think that's part of what we're looking to do in some aspects. We're trying to do more programming on our own. It seems like when I came here that a lot of the programming came to the camp, and we're trying to set up more of that ourselves. So for instance, there's a family stewardship retreat in April, a pastor's retreat as well in April. We're talking to some of the leaders in the Presbyterian, into the Holston Presbytery, to set up our youth program coming in November, another women's retreat in November. So we're trying to just be a little more proactive in those kinds of things, as well as I'm talking to organizations like Trout Unlimited. There's an active, I'm a member of I was a mountain of the Over Mountain Trout Unlimited. I'm looking at the Highland chapter and trying to bring groups like that in. We do a lot with church groups that sew, quilting groups come to us. It's we're trying to do more with an arts program at the camp. So I guess there's a few things like that the programming is valuable to us. It's I guess the tough thing is balancing cash flow and making a little money as well as doing this ministry. And, we just have to figure out how to make some income in order to keep the doors open. I can't keep turning to congregations and begging for money. It's just, Waverly has been incredibly supportive. And so, and it's just the amount of the outpouring of charitable contributions that have come to the camp during the tough times of this past year has been outstanding. It's just incredible that so many people have felt the desire to give to the camp, but we recognize that this just we can't lean on that indefinitely. So we will continue to do some fundraising, but we've just got to figure out how to capitalize on our assets and be able to take those to where the need is, I suppose. Does that even get close to Mr. Gilmer getting to your
That's
question?
great. Thank you. It sounds like you've got a lot of things you're considering that can strengthen the believers that might not even be Presbyterians in your community. So that's good.
Well, yeah, right to the heart of things. We do maintain, we are a Christian camp, and we do hope to plant the seed of love and hope in anybody that comes to the camp. And I'm very pleased that, again, with Crosby Palmer, who has taken a strong lead in making those programs and being available to not only the children, but to any group that comes up. She's just a very talented individual that can step up and do some and lead a group in Bible study or different types of prayer and meditation, and just a lot of different topics. I was attending seminary with the thoughts of going at Emmanuel in Milligan, with the thoughts of becoming ordained. I'm a CRE, level 1, but still taking those courses. But Hebrew was, it's just, I couldn't do it. Hebrew, for when I was having nightmares, literally just could not just memorize for a test every week, the Hebrew, and gave it a good shot. Old Testament, loved it. Spiritual formation, loved it. Made all A's and B's for my first semester, and then dropped out. It was, I just the Lord has steered me in another direction, I guess. It's just, I need to concentrate on the camp and what I can do as a CRE. Only to say that I also would love to participate in the ministry of the camp, and hopefully that I'm a good witness to the kids and to the folks that come there. We want to lead by example by all means, and that's what I preach.
Jim, we've got a couple more questions for you. Dave Petke has one, and then Rick Johnson.
Dave.
Okay, Jim, I was interested in the Meadows facility. What do you call them? Meadows cabin. That was one that was built, I understood, as a money-raising project. Has that worked out?
It probably depends on who you ask. For me, no, not so much. The expectation was, now that's 6.5 acres that the camp owns. It's not, that property is not connected directly to the main camp area, but it's known as the Upper Meadows area. Back in the day, kids and retreats would go up there with teepees, I think, and camp out up there and that kind of thing. So the idea that there was a task force created when I first when I came on as an I was kind of interim. I was the interim director, and a task force was created by the Presbytery to review what the camp's doing and how it's doing it, and what are some what kind of advice or suggestions do they have for the camp. So it was decided that perhaps a cabin could fulfill some needs of the camp. So we have Gunther Lodge, you may know, which has 14 rooms. 9 of those rooms have private baths. 5 of those rooms share bathrooms in the original part of the lodge. And of course, we have heated cabins, and then the outdoor cabins. But it was thought that the Meadows cabin could have 7 bedrooms. It has 6 baths and 2 floors, and some nice congregation space. It's a beautiful building, really. Each bedroom has a queen size bed and a futon chair, which serves as a twin bed. And it also has several futons. Lately, it has done very well in renting. It's on Vacation Rentals by Owner, VRBO. If you go to vrbo.com and search Banner Elk for accommodations for up to 25, you'll probably see the listing there. And it's never, it was thought that it would bring in a certain amount of money per year, and our managing it would, we would receive 12% of the net, the gross income there. It's not, it got off to a shaky start. I guess it just takes a while to catch on, but lately, because of the COVID situation, it's caught on real well, because I suppose families feel more comfortable coming to that kind of facility versus bringing a lot of different people together, non-familial people together into one area. So it's done well lately. It's a little bit of a sticking point, just in managing it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, sure. I should just say, I don't think it really it's made quite a difference in the income that it's generated. Sure, it's good to have any bit of income, but it's certainly not in any way saved the camp from during COVID. No, not at all. What else?
You ready for me? You ready for me, Susan? Okay. Jim, you were talking earlier about taking reservations, and I know it's relatively early in the year, but I was wondering what kind of plans you're making for this next year. I know COVID impacted significantly your ability to have overnight camp last year, and it was predominantly day camp. Is that what you envision for this year, or do you see a return to a more normal camp schedule?
Well, as far as camp goes, I'm not getting my hopes up too much. We are still going to observe the same COVID policies we did the last year. So we've already had parents call and say, oh, the kids have to wear masks, and then yeah, they do have to wear masks. And but at the same time, we are ahead of where we were last year in reservations for camp. So I see that as a positive sign. I think in marketing, I want to remain robust there and keep the name out front, because I think that's important even now to maintain the fact that we're open, we have a safe record, we're doing things right. But I'm thinking conservatively on the numbers of enrollment for camp. Now, camp is not exactly our profit center by any means, but we have raised prices a little bit in order not to take hard losses on that, and I think we're still very much in line with any camp that you see that has facilities equal to ours. Camp is about $500 for 5 nights and 15 meals this year. Now, beyond that, we are seeing, and by the way, we generally do 7, and I think we've even done maybe 8 weeks of overnight camp in the past, and we're doing only 4, and actually a brief, I'll say 4.5 weeks of overnight camp. But we're testing whether we can, and we don't get a huge enrollment at Holston. I think that, well, for instance, I don't know how many children you have at Waverly Road. There's just not a lot of children in the Holston Presbytery. We're reaching out in other directions and getting kids. We hope that the camp becomes kind of a little bit of a lure for, for churches to be able to say, hey, come on, join us. We want to go to camp and do this, and we have this to offer. So we are still small group camping and in the tradition of Holston, I guess, but there's just never been quite the numbers. I think that we're in more of the golden age, I guess. There's so much competition anymore for kids' time. So I guess what I'm saying is we've condensed we're wondering if we condense our offering into, say, 4 or 5 sessions, and then we have a chunk of July to offer other types of programs, so that, for instance, another church group, a Methodist group, wants to come and bring their own program to the camp. Well, they're willing to pay a good bit of money for that opportunity. So that seems like a good deal for us. We would have the staff to help facilitate their activities. They bring their program, their adult supervisors, ministers, etc. We house them, and it can be a pretty good trade-off there. We like the Methodists. They're good folks, and so there's been some, I guess, some thoughts in how it's best to schedule camp. Instead of, in 2019 there was a camp that had, I guess, 9 kids, and I was ready to call it off. But some parents said, please don't, please don't. And so I said, okay, the show must go on. So we ran it, and kids had a good time. It was fine, but it's not the kind of thing we can afford to do if we don't have the enrollment. So looking past camp, I think things are going to pick up. I think we were in an outstanding position to move ahead if COVID hadn't hit. We were just banging on all cylinders, really. Our name was out there. We'd seen increases in enrollment year after year. So if it hadn't been for COVID, I am sure we would have had a great 2020. I can't give you the numbers, but everybody just, all the retreats canceled. And even our ski season in January and February, just this past couple months, has been down significantly. And that's generally the money that propels us into spring. So without that, we struggle to get through March and April, which is March is typically slow here because, well, it's the skiing is not necessarily great, and people are thinking about the beach already. So I guess that's kind of the thing. So and then spring comes, and deposits for summer camps start rolling in, and the cash flow begins to move again. But without that good January and February ski season money, it's kind of hard to move ahead. But we have a very dedicated group of retreats, especially some church groups that come. There's sewing groups, Holston groups that come. scout groups that come through the year, and we're making every effort to be in touch with them and invite them back into the camp. I think our rates are incredibly good. It's a matter of getting the numbers there that make things work. We are group oriented. As you imagine, the one group needs to fill, say, the Gunther Lodge. We like to have at least 20 in there. We like groups of at least 20 to feed. And sometimes we do with less, but at that kind of number, it makes it all work. The finances work a little better. So the more the merrier is what I say. And it really helps, excuse me, helps us financially just to get larger groups in. Yeah, I've wandered around there a lot, but did that help with the, I am optimistic about it, Richard. I think that's, I think things are, what can I say? I can't, I wish I could see into the future, and I wish we could get past this COVID thing real fast. By the way, we do, as a child care providers, we get to have our shots. So all of my staff will be vaccinated here real soon in Avery County. So that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jim, Liz Blakely, thank you, Liz, typed up the mission statement on the chat box, but because that won't be visible to the recording, Liz, do you have it in front of you, or do you want me to read it?
I'll let you read it. Go ahead.
Okay. Our mission invites all people to experience a transformation of mind, body, and spirit as they engage in a community of faith, recognizing grace through our transcendent God and seeking greater understanding of themselves, others, and the environment. And then there's a Bible verse, Matthew 7:12. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. That's the mission statement of the camp. So if Jim didn't remember all those words, we'll forgive him. And I wanted to also offer, I've got in front of me the camp calendar for this summer, and just offer some of the names of some of the special camps. Crosby's done a great job coming up with some very creative names. One of them is called GALS, and that is Girls Adventure Leadership Service, a new session with a special initiative to empower girls as outdoor leaders, inspired to serve their social and ecological communities through hiking trips, team building challenges, and stewardship projects. Girls will learn and practice adventure, leadership, and service skills. They've also got some other camps called Night Owl, Water Chihuahua, Wheels and Heels, and Bloomers Day Camp, and some other basic camps. So there's a lot of creativity and effort has gone into the curriculum and the programming that they'll be doing. So I hope that if you have family or friends or church members who would like to attend, that they will participate and sign up.
Any question about those camps? Thanks, Susan. That helps a lot. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm really happy about this gals camp. We see more and more young ladies at camp. They've outnumbered the boys in some instances, and I think there's just I don't know, it's kind of interesting. A couple things I've read is that boys seem to be more in tune to their gadgetry, and girls have not really grabbed onto that too much, and so they're venturing outdoors more, and I'm really pleased with that. So we did get a little bit of a grant money to sponsor some scholarships to the GALS program. It was an idea of Crosby's to kind of just to have an we thought about, so it's an all girls camp. So maybe they feel a little more comfortable in that situation, but they'll do all the basic camp activities. It's led by women for women. So that's kind of a cool thing, I think.
And the Water Chihuahuas is all about water, all kinds of water activities.
As you all know about the water chihuahuas that live in Wildcat Lake, we keep the legend alive that way. So yeah, those folks will go on either canoeing on the New River or on the Watauga Lake. And let's see, what else do they do? I think they can. Some of them will do some tubing, but it's all water related activities.
Does anybody else have questions for Jim? Howard, you're on mute.
So I lead a committee at Waverly Road that has 8 members, and we've been talking. We were close to having an offsite retreat before COVID hit.
Right.
So for a group of only 8 people, what are the options at Holston Camp? What would you recommend? I mean, would renting the cabin, the Holston Meadows cabin, and cooking our own food be the best option, or for a group of that size?
I think the cabin is not a bad idea for a weekday. It's actually, they're pretty good rates for weekday reservations. There's a 2-night minimum, unfortunately. So maybe, I don't know how long you would be prepared to stay, but during the week it is pretty it's affordable for a group like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you would each have your own bedroom, and that's nice. Well, I guess somebody might be on the couch, but depending on how everybody sleeps, I guess it's and therein is a little bit of the problem with the cabin, in that groups of beyond family members, or like a family reunion, you run into a little bit of problem about who's sleeping with who in the queen bed. So
Right.
There's a little bit of an issue with that, but I don't think that anybody would be too interested in a cabin, but what time of the year do you want to come, Howard?
Yeah,
I'll make you a deal. We'll make you a deal.
We'll talk to you. We'll keep the conversation going, because until COVID's really over, I'm not sure we're going to be planning anything yet, but I'll give you a call.
Okay, fair enough. And by the way, Waverly has been incredibly kind and benevolent to the camp, and anything that we can do for you to enhance your ministry, we will do. And so, let's make a deal, so to speak. So just give me a call.
Okay.
Will do.
Thank you. We've come to the end of our hour. Did anybody else have a question they needed to ask? We can always find out for you later if it's something you think of after we're finished. Thank you, Jim, for being with us tonight. And Jim, would you be willing to close us with prayer?
Sure. And I'm just real pleased to be able to talk to you. I could talk all night about camp. It is really, and please come up and for the day, or we'll go to lunch, or maybe Miss Peggy will have something on the stove for us. But I'd love for you to visit, love to talk to you about camp, love for you to drive you around. We'll take a tour in the Gator. But I love talking about camp, and I'm always open to new ideas and opportunities. And we've got our staff and our board are just working very hard to figure out how best to make the camp work better, and just remain vibrant and a worthwhile ministry. So thank you for all that, and let's pray. Gracious and loving God, we have so many blessings and so many reasons to be thankful to you. Each one of us has so much to be thankful for. Thank you for being with this congregation. Thank you for being with that minister of the congregation. Thanks for being with each one of these families. We know you're always there with us. Thanks for their involvement in the camp. Thank you for the camp, and for that ministry that, with your will and grace, will continue. We pray for those that aren't with us. We pray for those less fortunate than we are. we ask your blessing on our world and on our species. Amen.
Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. And thanks again to Jim for participating and telling us about our camp. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Thank
great.
you. Thanks for enduring that. I hope I didn't miss you.
Great to see you.
Okay,
Enjoy it,
nice to
Jim.
see you too. Thank you so much.